we were continuing with the chapter number 10, that is India Agriculture. In our last session, we had completed the types of farming. And today we will be continuing with the certain works which is already mentioned out here. We have got the farming methods and the agriculture products of India. The other day also I had talked about that there is going to be a bit of confusion as far as two topics are concerned. One, the types of farming which we have already completed, and the farming methods, two different things. So a quick recap of what we had done the other lecture is the types of farming. And in this types of farming we have 6 types which we had discussed. And those 6 types were basically, number 1, subsistence farming. We have talked about the dry farming, we have talked about the wet farming, we have talked about the shifting agriculture, we have talked about plantation agriculture, and we have talked about this intensive farming. Now these are all those procedures which are based upon irrigation methods, farm outputs, how much is the produce is going to be taking place, what is the economic returns which is seen. And those were those 6 classifications which we had. Now, farming methods is going to be those process of all those 6 types which we have talked about, but method is going to be utilized based upon the current situation. I have got a plantation, or I am doing intensive farming. Now in this intensive farming, or I am talking about wet farming, or I am talking about subsistence farming, there are certain procedures which we do to carry out the farming. So those farming methods, किस तरीके से farming हो रही है, that is the basic point. Overall, we are going to divide this farming methods into 3. One I've got is the organic, the second one is sustainable, and third is going to be the mixed farming. One by one we will be learning bit by bit about all these things. Now organic farming. As the name suggests, we are talking about a process in which only organic matter will be utilized in helping the production. We are not going to be dependent upon any artificial or man-made processes. We will not be doing anything. To understand what I am trying to tell you is, we have got certain plants which are growing. And obviously, those plants will be having their different nutrients requirement. Now, nutrients can be supplied in 2 processes. One is, I am going to provide the manure. Now, manure, as the name suggests, it is the organic waste generated by the plants or animals or humans, all mixed together. It's all natural. So what I have done, we have decomposed certain organic materials. One decomposition takes place, we are going to put down into the field, and consequently we will see the plants receiving the nutrients. The second process could be that instead of providing the manure, I am providing the fertilizer. Now in lower class, you have already learnt about the difference between the manure and the fertilizer. So fertilizer is a concentrate of minerals or nutrients which is manufactured in the factories. Obviously, we are talking about the human ideologies, IQs, technology being used to produce. So in organic farming, as the name suggests, we will be solely dependent upon the organic produce which will be used by the farmer to receive the output. So it should be very much clear that no chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides or herbicides, no chemicals, that means no man-made products will be used in it. So organic farming, coming down according to the textbook, it says that at the rate the chemical fertilizers and insecticides or pesticides or herbicides, various chemicals are being used, the destructive effect of these chemicals is also felt. Now, why this particular statement is given? First of all, let us understand what is the soil. We had learned about that the soil is the uppermost thin crust of the earth where vegetation is able to grow. And this soil comprised of 5 things. Out of that 5 things, we had the particulate matter, the particles which have been broken down from the big rocks. We had the water, we had the air, we had the manure formation, that is the compost which is going to be present, and lastly we will be having the microscopic organisms which helps in nutrient recycle. Now what it is basically we are doing is the humus or decomposed organic matter, which is basically the dead remains of plants and animals, it is going to get consumed by the plants. And what we are doing, instead of this 4th point, we are putting in certain chemicals. Now what we have to understand is that this humus, the word which we had learned, was not only the reservoir for the nutrients, but also the food for the 5th part which we were talking about, that is the microscopic organisms. And these microscopic organisms are in turn helping in recycling of the nutrients. So it is a give and take situation which is happening out there. Now what we are talking about is we have removed the humus and put in some chemicals. Now both the things as far as plants is concerned means the same. It is just a provision of nutrients, minerals for the plants. But what we have devoid of the microscopic organism is their food. And in case those microscopic organisms will not be having the food to live, obviously they are going to die, and the result will be that the nutrient cycle will be stopping in those particular soil. And this is referred as the degradation of soil fertility. बस उसी की हम बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर, that chemical fertilizers when are being used in abundance, खूब डगला भर के भी using it. We are providing the nutrients to the plants, no doubt about it, but simultaneously we are also making one condition coming through, and that is those organisms which are helping in nutrient recycle, they slowly fades away, they die. So due to this presence of these chemicals and insecticides which has been now produced, put into the field, they are going to get absorbed by the plant. So one point is that fertility of the soil is decreasing. Second, these chemicals are going to get absorbed by the plant's roots obviously, and we are going to see coming down into the yield. Now yield can be cereals, it can be pulses, it can be fruits, it can be vegetables, it can be flowers, whatever the output is, उसके अंदर ये chemical पहुंच गया. So what is going to happen? In other class, you had again learned in science about something called as biological magnification. So what is really happening? These chemicals, when they start, their proportion keeps on increasing and increasing, and we humans who are sitting at the top of the food pyramid, the accumulation is going to take place more, and the result will be that the hygiene of the people will be getting disturbed. And for that reason, it has been shown in certain studies that various ailments, कई सारी बीमारियां, they have been seen coming up because of this type of food consumption. So more damage is going to be caused to the environment, and we will be seeing ourselves getting affected. The productive capacity of the land, as I have just talked, is going to reduce. So in the initial phase, जब हम पहली बार chemicals डालते हैं, it is very good. The output seems to be really coming very fast, effectively. But in the long run, it is not at all a win-win situation either for the farmer, nor the consumer, nor the environment, nor those microscopic organisms. किसी के लिए भी फायदा नहीं दिखाई दे रहा. Initially it is good. We'll be getting a bumper crop, no doubt about it. But over a years, we are going to see it is going to get declining slowly, steadily. कम होना तय है. So what will be getting reduced? Now, organic farming is the method of a farming in which users or any other chemical fertilizers or insecticides or herbicides or pesticides will not be getting used in the production. Very good morning, Nitish. For the nutrition of the crop, dung, gobar, earthworm fertilizer, that is vermicompost, this is the word you have already heard about. Solvents, buttermilk, chas. These are other things which are used for the protection of the crop. See, now in organic farming what we are doing, we are removing all those chemicals away and putting it organic matter. As the name suggests, we are talking about the matter which is produced by the organism themselves. So nothing chemicals in it. So what is going to happen? Once we started using these organic matter or manure for the sake of nutrients, surely we will be seeing certain things happening in the field. The organic production will now be full of more nutrients. That means the nutrient value of the product is going to increase. Wheat, for example, in case we were consuming which was being produced with the help of chemical fertilizers, it might be having the iron or calcium at certain rates which is available. But this concentration of calcium or iron is going to increase very much because now we are using that organic manure. Apart from it, another added advantage which we get is the taste. So, natural taste, sweetness, tenderness, fragrance, that is also going to get increased. These minerals and vitamins and life energizing elements in the crops, they are also going to, and in farming, there tends to be seems a deviation in our choice. अब हम लोग भी एक अलग से shelf देखते हैं in those malls or retail outlets which actually contains the organic products. Now, the demand is slowly increasing, no doubt about it. And the reason why it is increasing, we are trying to neglect all those side effects which were part of our body till yesterday, where organic farming was not thought about on very large scale. But now that organic farming has increased, we are going to see that the organic products demand has also increased. So, this was a part of a method where we try to understand the method of utilizing the organic materials for the sake of production. अब फिर से वापस वही basic point will be coming out there. This organic farming can be introduced in dry farming. This organic farming method can be utilized in intensive farming, or it can be done in wet farming and so on. So, the types of farming is different and how we are going to cultivate the crop is different. And this is what you have to understand. Now, the second method of farming is going to be the sustainable. Now, what is sustainable? We had talked about something which is called sustainable development. Remember? So, what we are talking about sustainable development, we are doing the development to a certain level wherein the resources are conserved so that it can be passed on to the coming generations. And this is same thing we are talking about out here in sustainable farming. We are trying to retain the soil fertility. So special care is taken for crop rotation. Now what is crop rotation? Crop rotation is a process wherein continuously we don't grow only one type of crop in the field. Instead we alter it with some another. This is again in class 9 we have done about in science, where we are going to grow, let us say, sugar cane, and after sugar cane we will be growing, let us say, rice, and let us say after rice we will be growing wheat. And the reason why we are doing it is very simple. The nutrient requirement of the certain crops is fixed. Say for example, the sugar cane wants to have, or the uptake requirement is somewhere more of iron. So in case we keep on growing sugar cane one after the other, rotation is going to take place. What is going to happen? We will be seeing definitely the deficiency of iron in the soil. But in case we do the rotation, then after harvesting sugar cane, we have just simply grown wheat, minerals except iron. So what is going to happen? We will be getting absorbed. So ultimately what we are going to do, we are going to now using those crops one by one, different nutrient requirement of another crop, third different nutrient requirement of the third crop. So at the end of the day, we will be seeing that the soil will be having all the minerals at equitable level. एक जैसे हो गए, केवल एक चीज की कमी और एक चीज की कमी ज़्यादा ऐसा होता दिखाई नहीं देगा. So when necessary, apart from it, what we are going to do, we will be using the biotic controls, organic fertilizers are going to be implemented. A biotic control means, say for example, for insect controls, we will be using neem or neem solvents, we have just talked about. So at the end of the day, my soil fertility is retained so that the production amount doesn't really dip down or suddenly increase up. So this is called as the sustainable farming. Now coming down to the third one, which talks about is mixed farming. Remember, we had learnt about the streaming is lagging. Now also it is okay. The power cut was there. Now it is coming out. In subsistence farming, we had learned about, that is the types of farming, that the farmer has got just a small piece of land, and this small piece of land was just sufficient enough for the survival of the family of the farmer along with the farmer. So, farmer and his family, they have got just enough to eat. They don't have the luxury to sell out in the market. For these people, we talk about the method of farming to be a little altered. Now, to have that extra money coming, what these people try to opt for is that cattle rearing can be done. You know, 1 or 2 buffaloes or cow will be there within the family, or they might be having the poultry, small numbers of chicken being reared, or they can have the sericulture or pisciculture. Now sericulture and pisciculture, it is again dependent upon the availability of food which you have got, that is discarded food, wastage of the food, and this wastage of the food can be utilized in upbringing certain animals which in turn is going to provide the farmer either the economic help or the food. दो चीजें मिल जाएंगी उसको, या दोनों में से एक मिल जाएगी. तो this sort of mixing certain other things along with farming is called as mixed farming. Say a pond was developed by the farmer in which water is present, and within that water he or she has got a certain amount of fish available. This is pisciculture, मछली पालन. तो क्या हो गया? That fish, once mature, comes to the average weight which is required by the customers, catch and sell it out. And as far as feeding is concerned, it is only the wastage of the food of the household is going to be done. Same is applicable with the cattle rearing, or all whatever the weeds which are growing out there, or the harvest leftover, बचा कुचा जो harvest के बाद बच जाता है, वो हम cattle को दे देते हैं. Provision of milk is there, which can be either consumed or can be sold in the market. So this type of farming will be called as the mixed farming. With this, we come to the end of this particular topic, in which we had covered about the organic farming, we have covered about the sustainable farming and the mixed farming. Now remember again, this is being told again, these are those methods of farming. Now, the next topic which we have got is the agricultural products of India. We had learned in the very initial phase of the chapter that India is an agrarian country, where we see 60% of the labor force getting engaged in it. And one thing which we have learned in the lower classes is that it is dependent upon two availability or two modes of availability of water. One is rainwater, another one is irrigation. So irrigation is still not a very common phenomenon seen in the fields of India, but monsoon is a general phenomenon wherein the fresh water is brought to nearly each and every field in India. And as we know that monsoon is a seasonal activity, so the agriculture products of India will be also seasonal. To understand the agricultural crops of India, we can actually categorize them into three blocks. Three. One will be on the onset of monsoon, the time where monsoon arrives, brings shower, brings the rain. And certain crops will be grown during that period. They will be harvested. That crop which was grown during the rainy season will be harvested, and with the leftover moisture, we will be having another crop. Now, the one which is going to be sown along with the onset of monsoon is called as the Kharif crop. And the one which is going to be sown with the leftover moisture or with the utilization of irrigation will be called as the Rabi crop. Now it is not BI, it is BI, Rabi. And the third one will be also seen, which is going to be lying, or the crop produced during that season, which lies after the harvest of Rabi crop, but before the onset of Kharif. Now we are talking about extreme hot, dry climatic condition, and this third type will be called as the Zaid crop. So overall we will be learning about the three types of crops based upon the monsoonal activities. onset of monsoon has gone, then we'll be having the leftover moisture, and then certain crops will be grown in the summer. One by one, we will be getting a glimpse of this in detail. When I talk about the Kharif crop, the crops which are taken during rainy seasons, they are called as the Kharif crop. I have just explained. Second, the time period where we are going to see it getting planted and harvested. So this is going to be varying from June, July to October, November. Now what does it mean? At certain places the monsoon comes in the month of June, and certain places by the end of June, where certain places at the starting of July. It seems to be coming at different stages, and whenever they will be grown, that particular crop grown in the monsoon time, it need to be harvested. So the harvest is going to take place from October to November, and this is according to the season when they are sown. जिस समय बोया उसके according we can have certain calculations done that in case it is sown in June, so by October we will be having harvest. In case it is sown in July, by November we are going to see the harvest taking place. Which all major crops are going to get covered into it across India? We have got first important one is paddy. And apart from it, we will be seeing maize, makai, or jowar, millet, cotton, til, that is also called as the sesame, groundnut, moong, mud. These are certain crops which are going to be grown during this period alone. So their time of sowing will be June, July, and by October, November, we will be getting the harvest. Fresh products coming in the market. Now the Rabi crop. From here you can understand that November, month of November, it means that we will be seeing the onset of winter. सर्दियां आनी शुरू हो चुकी होती हैं. तो जब हम रबी क्रॉप की बात करते हैं, इसके साथ में हम विंटर को जरूर याद रखें. We will be trying to remember that Rabi crop is the crop which will be grown after rainy season is over, but after rainy season obviously winter does arrive, and hence we will be growing this crop, that is Rabi crop, in winter season. This crop will be again grown from October, November, and the harvest will be taking place in March and April. Which all crops do we see it getting covered? Wheat. Just like Kharif crop will be having a synonym of paddy, chawal, rice, barsat, monsoon. Winters in India are associated with one of the prime crop, that is the wheat. But apart from it, we are going to see gram, barley, mustard, linseed, etc. So these are certain other crops which we are going to see. But predominantly we will be learning about wheat. Now moving on to the third one. What exactly do we see out here? That April till June, we still have got certain time where the fields are not having any particular growth taking place of any plants. And this is the time where across India, that is from April month till the last of May or starting of June, we see the hot summer. So here we can also refer it as the summer crop. All those places which have got the availability of irrigation with them, the farmers try to utilize the land which they have in their possessions, that instead of letting it lie idle, खाली रखने से अच्छा ये है, let us grow certain crops which usually are not very economically active. Economically active means not having more consumptions taking place. So value economically is quite less. But then even when we talk about economically less valuable, we can calculate it that something is better than nothing, and this is what the farmers usually do. So Zaid crops are those crops which across India comprises of watermelon, cucumber, kakdi, or muskmelon. These are certain fruits which are usually grown. At certain places where still irrigation facility is still higher, अभी भी अच्छी खासा पानी मिल जाता है. We got the canal systems or we got the bore wells or so on. Certain crops apart from it like maize or groundnut or a millets is grown, and still where the water availability is still higher, even rice is grown. So rice, we happen to see two particular times. We can see this is March to June. So those places where irrigation facility is available, depending upon the quantity, the products keep on varying. Certain places the quantity is less, they're just having certain fruits growing like muskmelon, watermelon or cucumber. At still higher availability, we might be going for the millets or jowar, and still higher we can go for the rice. This let us know about the various agriculture types of farming and the methods of farming in India. And from henceforth, we will be moving to learn about the major agriculture crops which are grown in India. And this particular topic do really comes, again, I told you, chapter number 10, India Agriculture, is going to give you lots and lots of questions which are in detail. So another question is going to be getting ready so that you can answer it, the different types of agriculture crop grown in India. Now whenever we will be learning, henceforth we will be doing it, there are certain points you have to remember. For every crop which we will be learning, you have to learn about where their climatic condition is basically going to be seen as the temperature, pressure, availability of moisture and the type of soil. So these are certain things you need to remember, where all it is being grown, what is the climatic condition which is prevailing or helping the growth of those certain agriculture products. The whole agriculture will be divided into certain segments. Say for example, we will be talking about exclusively the cash crops, or we will be talking about the beverages, और we'll be talking about the food grains. तो खाना जो हमारे पास में उग रहा है उसको हम कंज्यूम अलग अलग तरीके से करें. If I am growing cotton, obviously it is the cash crop which will be sold to the various industrial units which is going to make thread and yarn and so on. Cash crop. I'll be selling it, I'll be receiving the money. There are certain crops which we will be selling out in the form of beverages, the drinks. Say we talk about the coffee. or we talk about cocoa, we will be talking about tea. So those will be in the beverages section. And there will be another important thing, that is the food grade. Obviously, food is the ultimate requirement. The rest all can be subsided down, साइड में रखा जा सकता है, but पहले खाने का. तो पहले आते हैं food. In your textbook, there is a particular chart which is mentioned out there, major agricultural products of India, wherein there are certain names which have been mentioned about the food grains, the pulses, the oilseeds, the beverages, cash crops, condiments, masale, fruits and vegetables. So it's just a bit of information all compiled together at one place. In detail, we will be going first by food grain. A particular point to remember, word which is talked about total area zone, that means जितनी जगह पर खेती होती है, wherever agriculture practice is being done. We're not talking about the whole land. See, the whole land which is agriculture land, certain land patches might be used for cultivation and certain are not. कुछ पर आप उगा रहे हो और कुछ पर नहीं उगा रहे. जितने पर उगा रहे हो, whatever amount of land is being under cultivation, out of which 75% of that area, so total area sown, and about 50% of the total production. So this is total area sown, and 50% is of the total production. Whatever we are growing, whatever products we are growing, be it the cereals, be it the pulses, we have oil seeds, we've got beverages, we've got cash crops, we've got condiments, we've got fruits, vegetables. So whatever the output is coming of that 50% production will be the food. In which we will be starting with something which is called as the paddy. That is the rice. Important again, there is a combination of certain pictures which are being given in your books where how paddy cultivation does take place. It is shown. Those pictures you have to keep in the mind, because question might be coming showing you the picture and asking you to write a detailed answer for the same. So it is a tricky part. So you have to understand that there are certain pictures which are mentioned in the textbook which you need to keep a tab upon, have to remember it, so that in case that printed part does come, you have the answer with you. Paddy, most important crop. So there is a word very starting, most important. And why do we say it is the most important crop? A large majority of the world and about half of the population of India. So talk about India alone, 50% of population uses rice, and at certain places it is the staple food. When I say staple food, it means the food will be comprising of rice as an intake in at least 2 meals in whatever form. Go down to south, you are going to find so many preparations in South Indian dishes but the main component out there is the rice. So the rice becomes their staple food, majority. What does the stand of India is concerned in production? So India stands second in production after China. PRC stands for People's Republic of China. This is the official name of it. So whatever the production is taking place in India, it stands just next to the production what we happen to see in China. China is the leader in rice production in the world, and we stand at the second. If the total area sown is concerned, we are going to find that paddy covers 1/4 part or 25% of net sown area. जितनी जगह पर खेती हो रही है उसको अगर हम 100 स्क्वायर हेक्टेयर लेके चलते हैं, just for calculation sort, 25 hectares will be the land where paddy you will be finding it being grown. So it is 1/4 of the total sown area. And the climatic condition which is going to be required by the paddy is called as the torrid. The word torrid means hot and humid. And when we talk about hot and humid, we are talking about a condition wherein a minimum temperature of 20 degrees. That means it can survive in 25, it can survive in 30 degrees centigrade, but humidity should be more. And when we talk about humidity, that is the moisture content. The type of soil which is going to be required will be alluvial soil. That means nutrient of the soil should be on a higher side. And as far as the rainfall is concerned, it is requiring 100 centimeters of annual rainfall. तो वो सब जगह जहां पर 100 सेंटीमीटर या उससे ज्यादा बारिश होती है, we are talking about South Gujarat, we are talking about the Konkan area, we are talking about the coastal area of Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, Andhra, Bengal. We are going to see that these conditions, atmospheric conditions which we have just talked about, hot and humid climatic conditions and an annual rainfall of 100 centimeter, alluvial soil, it is all getting justified. Unique thing to understand about some places like Haryana and Rajasthan. Sorry, Punjab and Western UP. It is still buffering. What exactly do we see? That Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, they are the particular areas which doesn't receive that much amount of rainfall, but still they are producing paddy in abundance. Custom is there. Still in India, paddy cultivation is labor-intensive job. We require plenty of labor who is going to be working in the fields. There are certain areas, as I have just mentioned about West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Orissa, they are major paddy producing states. The crop in these areas is in fact taken 2 to 3 times in a year. So they continuously grow rice in the fields, one after the other. In Gujarat, paddy is grown in Surat, as I've mentioned about, southern part of Gujarat. So I've got Surat, Tapi, Panchmahal, certain areas in Ahmedabad, Kheda, Anand, Valsad district. So here also we find a good amount of paddy being grown. Paddy is a crop which requires more water. And because it requires so much of water that sometimes we also refer it as thirsty crop. Pyasi, always requiring some water. A new development has taken place. We have been working on certain innovative ideas, new techniques, in which originally we happen to see that the paddy is grown in the fields which is filled with water, so excess water is required. We are trying to move on by irrigating the paddy through sprinkler system. I've seen that sprinklers giving out the rain, shower sort of thing. So we are trying to work upon this particular thing also. At certain places it has given the result. So what we see out here is the paddy, the most important thing that paddy is grown. The next topic in your next class. Thank you so much.